So last week we did some sketching and we came up with some preliminary sketches. And this week we're going to go and we're going to take these sketches and we're going to do a layout on a painting with some oil paints. A layout when you're doing painting is basically just getting the overall idea on the panel or canvas. You're not going to have a lot of detail. You might not even have the right color. You're just going to lay it out and get the form on there that you want. When you're working with acrylics, you can easily lay it out, come back in an hour, put another layer on, second coat, second layer. When you're dealing with oil paints though, you have to wait a while. Usually I wait at least 3 or 4 days in between layers. So it does take some patience. What I will do a lot of times, I have a rack over here and I'll paint a layer on, rack it, grab another panel and just keep going until I run out of things I want to do. So we're just going to take this sketch of Katahdin, which we sketched last week when we were doing the sketching towards abstraction phase of the YouTube videos we're working on. And we're going to take this sketch and we're going to turn this into an oil painting. At least try. Let's see. I'm going to stick that up there. Yeah, just 1 second. We're going to stick that right up there, so we can keep it right in front of where we're looking here. There we go. So I've got my brushes here. I've got some pre-mixed oil paints. I'm going to start out with some black just to get this thing kind of laid out. I like to work on a panel that's already got some paint on it. So as you can see here, I've already got a nice grade in color here. And this is just, what I do is I take whatever leftover paints I have at the end of the day and I just put them, scrumble them on the next panel that I want to use next time. And if I'm working on it, I might even add a few layers just to get some nice working surface on here. And so we're going to take and we're going to lay out the slope of that mountain first. I just got some black here mixed with my linseed oil, turpentine, and Damar varnish. And it's all ready to go right out of the jar. Basically, I just put the oil paints in with that medium and I mix it really good till it's nice and loose. And then I'm going to start out with this nice profile right here, like that. And I want to kind of get the gist of what we're doing here. I got this crazy cloud up here. See how when I'm painting, I like to push my brush down, just kind of get the ferrules of the brush involved a little bit. So we're gonna see how wide and thick that line is. Let's try to recreate that. I've got about a 1-inch brush here. We're gonna make that nice mountain angle there. There's some lines coming down here. So let's just kind of copy what we've already sketched here for fun. And then got this foreground here of these kind of crazy looking trees. We'll just black it in for now and play with that later, I guess. See, why I like to use the gray is you're not worrying about covering white all the time when you're painting, which is so annoying. All right, so there's that. Now I'm gonna get my pre-mixed gray out. I'm just gonna start, get some more brushes over here. Let's see, got some nice gray here. Basically, it looks like the colored gray we started out with. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to mix that with some white now. So let's get some white here. I'm just going to dump this right here. Mixing paints is kind of a personal thing. Let's grab that and we're going to go in here and we're going to just, there's a little subtle white line along the top of there that I like. And a little bit of whiteness behind this cloud for whatever reason. this. And then here's the mountain part here. So let's go ahead and fill that in with a little bit brighter white than we're using up here. Kind of similar to what we already sketched. Like that. I'm just going to keep looking up here at our little sketch here for our notes. And then I'm going to grab some more white and we're going to kind of go into the foreground down here. Just kind of like keep the brush really flat. That's what I like to do when I'm doing this kind of stuff here. Kind of just drag it around, grab a little bit of that black, just like that. How we looking? Not bad so far. And then grab some of this, just pull it away from that mountain there. It's a little thick. And then we're gonna add some colors now. I've got some pre-mixed phthalo blue here. So we're just gonna add a little sky color to our white. Just to kind of just not really finish the color, we're just gonna add a little color here. Got a little close to the mountain, but it's okay. We're just laying this out, remember? Fill that blue right in. And that's phthalo blue mixed with a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of white, kind of gray a little bit too. Phthalo blue is my favorite color blue. It's very rich. You can do a lot with it. I'm just kind of pushing my brush down into that white just to kind of blend it a little bit, pulling it back up into the blue. See how we're doing that? Same thing underneath that cloud. I'm just going to kind of blend into that black a little bit there to create that skyline. Like that. Just like that. Now we're going to switch to, I think we're going to have some Indian red come along here, which is like one of my favorite colors. And this is pre-mixed as well. Just going to go grab a brush. It's a little mottled through here, but I'm just going to go pretty red here for fun. Red down in here too, which is we're gonna just let that blend right in with that white and that black just to kind of create a look here. I might use some Indian red here, and then I might start getting my yellow ochre out for that corner just for fun too. See, what I'm doing is I'm just running my brush right into that black with that Indian red just to kind of blend that edge there. I like to smack that brush right into there like that. Now it's got some black in it, so it's kind of a little bit blended in, which I like. It's not pure. And with that, we're just going to jump in and we're going to start using some more white here to create a nice gray. I like to mix my paint on the panel, as you can see. So we're just going to kind of take that and we're just going to make a soft pink color here. Similar to what we did with the watercolors. Problem is with when you're using watercolors and you're using them as a sketch, you might get hung up on the fact that they work very differently. So you just have to accept that your painting isn't going to look exactly like the watercolor. You just have to just use it as a guide, not as the deciding finished product. And I'm just moving paint around right now. See, I'm just grabbing that black, bringing it up into there, kind of blending it a little bit. And I like how this is looking. Just kind of creating this sort of tree effect here with this, like that. And I'm going to run right into my yellow here. basically got like my own mixed yellow here, which is like almost like a Mars yellow, I guess they call it. We're gonna use this to kind of create the effect of sort of like low-lying bushes in the fall. You know how they get that nice tawny color? It's just beautiful in the fall. See how I can leave this gray, that underpaint? It doesn't really matter. Now it looks nice and finished. If I was to start with a white canvas, I'd be really annoyed right at that point, because you can just leave that if you want when you're doing this. I like where this is heading, and just kind of laying it out. Laying out a panel basically is just getting the overall idea of what you want to do with it. As far as the mountain, I might start mixing in a little bit of burnt umber. That looks like alizarin crimson. I have some pre-mixed burnt umber with my medium here, and I'm going to use my gray brush because I want it to be nice and grayed in. And first I'm going to start in the sky with this burnt umber. I'm just going to kind of run it out in this cloud. Remember, we hadn't quite finished that cloud yet. I'm just using that burnt umber there. And then I'm going to bring it down here a little bit. And I want to create a nice warm gray here with that burnt umber. And I'm just going to play with that like that. I'm just going to put some on there, and then we're going to mix it on the panel a little bit, which I love to do. So we're just going to blend that black line in just a little bit here. See, this is kind of what the German expressionists would do. They would leave those really nice strong lines. And I like the effect anyways. And then did you see how you just like touch that and then it's kind of done for now? Just taking my brush and I'm just kind of touching it into that black line to kind of create a nice blurred line there. Then when you run out of paint, you kind of just have to go grab that brown you already put on there. See, I'm just using this really fast sort of motion here to blend that. You wouldn't be able to do that if you had a white canvas. See how you having that underpaint helps you to build color really fast, especially if you aren't working with a gray. Do that. And then we're just gonna do that, and then creating sort of using that the flat of the brush to create some texture there a little bit. And then I already have some nice gray here, so I'm just gonna do a little playing around while I have it. Just kind of moving paint around that's already there with that nice gray brush. See that nice gray brush we've got? We're just going to do that. And then I'm going to take and add some white to that just to mess with this cloud just a little bit more. I'm just using my brush to push that paint up in upward motion. And then I can use it at the bottom to create a nice little definition line there. And we've pretty much laid out the painting at that point. There's not a whole lot else I can do with this painting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the camera so you can kind of take a look at it. And this is how I lay out a painting. Let me turn it on its side. Hopefully that doesn't mess you up. There's the sketch at the top. Well, there's my hand. There's the sketch at the top there, right? And then this is what we ended up with at the bottom. And if you go in there, you're gonna see the brush strokes. You're gonna see right here, there's a section of the gray that I didn't even touch. I just like that underpaint so much. And that'll happen down in this corner similarly. You see this little bit of texture here? We left that gray, and that's why you wanna start with a canvas that's got color on it. There's nothing worse than a white canvas. And the panels that I use are made out of masonite. And the reason I like masonite is because I like painting on hard surfaces. I hate canvases that flex in and out. They're just very frustrating for me. So it's a little glary, but you can kind of see the brushwork is very loose. I only used 4 brushes and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors to achieve this sort of grade in first paint. You want to call it a layout of what you want to finish up. And you're not going to get greedy. You're not going to try to finish this on your first go around. With oils, you have to work in layers. So really, there's already a layer on here. We've got the gray here, right, that we started with. And this is going to be our second layer. And then when we come back in, we're going to define a little bit more. And we're going to richen the colors a little bit, maybe brighten up some of the sky a little bit. But that's pretty much how I lay out a canvas with my oils. I pre-mix them. So this is kind of what they look like. I mix them in little plastic jars with my turpentine, linseed oil, and Damar varnish. Pretty much equal parts of those. And then I mix the paint until it's like kind of runny. And that allows you to work pretty quickly. I want to try to go back in and next time mix the paints on the palette to show you how we mix the paints. Hopefully I have my son to help me film. For today, I just had a little jig set up here with a clamp on it, and I have a magnet on my phone so we could do that. Other than that, thanks for joining today. It's only been 16 minutes and we laid out an oil painting. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next week.